Hey there, folks. In this video, I want to talk about a relatively recent case. In fact, I would imagine most of you probably remember it whether you keep an eye on recent missing persons cases or not. When Chelsea Grimm disappeared in the last half of 2023, her case made national news. It was one of those cases that just captured people's attention. I got a lot of emails about it, I saw a lot of YouTube videos about it, and I know a lot of people made independent efforts to help search for Chelsea. And then over time, as no new information was learned, public interest waned, which is natural for most cases that continue to be unsolved. I kept up with the case as it unfolded a couple years ago and always kept it in the back of my mind as time went on. I usually like to wait a little while before I cover recent cases so that the information can flow in and be analyzed before we try to come to any conclusion. And then we come to today and this video. Even if you're familiar with the story of Chelsea Grimm, I think you're probably going to learn a lot more details than were ever publicly released in the last 2 years. That way, you'll have a much more complete understanding of what took place here. And anyone who watches this video and ends up hunting or recreating in the Kaibab, well, maybe they'll be able to keep an eye out for anything out of the ordinary. Anyway, we're going to go over a brief timeline of the disappearance, followed by a detailed timeline of the investigation conducted by the Coconino County Sheriff's Office. And it's going to take a little while to get through. As I've often done before, I'll be presenting things from the perspective of the authorities. So you'll be able to see how everything unfolded, what was learned, and when, all in the order that it happened. There was a lot more information and witness testimony in this case than I ever anticipated. And most all of it is relevant in some way, and we'll even go over some stuff that may not be, just for the heck of it. Hopefully, in the end, it will lead to some sort of conclusion where we can take an educated guess as to what's happening in this case. Okay, let's get into it. But before we continue, I want to take a moment to thank ZocDoc for sponsoring this video. As an ancient millennial, I've become more concerned with the state of my health. In the past, the thought rarely, if ever, occurred to me, so here I am trying to be more health aware, but I've started noticing that it is increasingly more difficult to make a doctor's appointment. I mean, it seems like every time you call, they'll tell you maybe you can be seen in a month or a couple weeks if you're lucky, and God forbid you need to see a specialist. It seems like the whole process has just gotten more congested in the last 10 years. This is one area where today's sponsor, ZocDoc, can be very beneficial, because you can often get appointments within 1 to 3 days, and sometimes even on the same day. When you go to the ZocDoc website, you can sift through high-quality, in-network doctors and pick the one that fits your needs. You can then book the appointment right then, all by yourself. It can all be done online from the comfort of your own home. What's really great is that you get to select the doctor that feels right for you and then see what openings they have in their schedule and when. This way you can schedule the day and time that works best for you. It also eliminates the need to have to call the office. You know, when you get a machine that tells you you're number 22 in line and then you get to listen to some high quality music for a while. With ZocDoc, it's just a few clicks and you get your appointment. The goal for everyone should be to try and find a doctor that truly understands your needs. A part of that is finding a doctor who is able to see you when you need to see them. ZocDoc provides a platform wherein you can find the doctor you've been looking for. All you have to do is go and check it out. And remember, it doesn't cost you anything. So really, there's no downside. It's all quite simple. You can find doctors that take your insurance. You can find nearly every type of medical professional you can think of. There are well over 100,000 healthcare providers across every specialty on ZocDoc's website. So stop putting off those doctor or dentist appointments and go to ZocDoc.com/Enigma. That's ZocDoc.com/Enigma, or you can click the link in the description below to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. Thanks again to ZocDoc for sponsoring. Now let's get back to the video. Chelsea Grimm was 32 years old in September of 2023. Earlier in life, she grew up in Connecticut with her family, which included her parents, Janet and Stephen, as well as a few siblings. Later, she studied at Pace University, eventually receiving a degree in psychology, and then went on to New York University to get a graduate degree in clinical social work. Afterwards, she would get a job with the New York Department of Education. As time went on, she made a big change in her life by moving out to San Diego, California. Here, she spent a lot of time focusing on her hobbies, photography and art. She wanted to be able to make a living doing what she loved most. Chelsea also cared deeply about her pet bearded dragon named Rosie. In 2023, Chelsea was due to fly out to Connecticut on September 24th to reconnect with her parents and attend a wedding. A couple hours before her flight, Chelsea sent her father an email stating that she decided to drive to Connecticut instead. The sudden change appears to be due to her pet bearded dragon. Apparently, she couldn't take the lizard on the plane and couldn't bear to be parted with it. Therefore, driving was her chosen alternative. She told her parents that she was probably going to stay in a few hotels and also camp along the way. Chelsea also wanted to work on an art project about lost and forgotten people during her cross-country trek. Basically, it did not seem that Chelsea was planning to do this drive quickly. According to her neighbors, she would pack her 2019 Ford EcoSport and leave on her road trip this very same day. By September 25th, we know Chelsea was on the road and posting updates on her Instagram. They included things like a photograph of her at a rest stop with a series of missing persons flyers, a harbinger for what was to come. There was also a video of the interior of her vehicle with her bearded dragon on the dashboard, and a video of her Bible in which she indicates that she is going to Phoenix, Arizona to visit one of her friends. On September 26th, Chelsea contacted her parents to tell them that she was in Phoenix and that she decided not to attend the wedding after all. Since the bride-to-be was one of Chelsea's best friends, she asked her parents to not say anything and that she would later contact her friend with the bad news. Unfortunately, Chelsea never made that phone call. She told her parents that she would likely stay in the area for a few days to camp and afterwards probably just head back to San Diego. On September 28th, the Williams Police Department received a phone call from someone reporting a suspicious white car with a female inside that had been sitting stationary for about an hour and a half. An officer responded to the Williams Cemetery to check it out and made it on scene around 7:40 p.m. The following interaction was recorded on body camera.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm doing great. Are you doing all right?
Yeah, I just was doing a photo shoot of the lost soldiers and got a little emotional, so I was crying before I got back on the road.
Yeah, okay. I'm just making sure someone called it in, so...
I'm sorry.
No, you're quite all right. I mean,
I was just doing a photo shoot, yeah. Packed up. I'm going to leave soon.
Okay.
But I just didn't want to drive like that. Sad.
I got you. You've been smoking a little bit of marijuana?
Earlier today, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Do you have your license on you by any chance?
Yeah.
It gets me all emotional, too.
Yeah, it's just, I'm trying to do a series on the lost and the forgotten people in this country.
Yeah, no, I get it. How long ago did you smoke marijuana?
Oh, hours and hours ago.
Okay, right on.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, just hang tight for me really fast and I'll be right back, okay?
Okay.
That won't be much of a bother. All right. I just wanted to let you know your registration is expired.
Is it really?
Yeah, September of 23. So
jeez.
it was September 9th. So no big deal.
Okay.
I just wanted to let you know, bring it to your attention.
Okay.
Here's your driver's license
Thank
back.
you.
I know you told me that you smoked marijuana and you're kind of obviously I would be in an emotional state as well. I don't know if you want somebody else to drive you, or if you just want to hang out here for a little bit longer. You're more than welcome to do that.
Yeah, if it's okay with you to,
Yeah.
if I hang out here for another like 15 or 20 and then head on the road, that would be my plan,
Sure.
I think.
Yeah, I don't see any signs of impairment or anything like that, so.
Yeah, no, I mean, with my eyesight and then crying, it's not the best combination at night.
Dude, I totally
I was like,
understand.
I'm just gonna like cry on the road, or I'm just gonna sit here and cry. So I
got
have
you.
my dragon, and I'm just.
Oh, that's freaking cool. I didn't even notice that.
Thanks, Rosie.
Wow, Rosie,
I think
that's...
she's asleep.
Wow, right on.
She got bored.
Do you have like a hotel around here or anything?
I don't. I was actually thinking of just camping for the night, but I wasn't really sure exactly yet.
Gotcha. Well,
I didn't plan to be here until sunset.
okay, you can't camp in the city limits. It's kind of like a city statute we have.
Okay, good to know.
But you can always go. I don't know if you can see like the yellow lights over there, the Loves. It's a trucker stop in the gas station area. You can just sleep there. Nobody will bother you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yes.
Might get some good shots at sunrise too there.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
Yeah. The sunrise here too. If you ever want to take photo shoots of like the statues in the morning, dude, it's really cool because the sun like rises right behind them.
Amazing. Okay, I'll probably stay at the truck stop then, save some money, and then come over for the sunrise.
You got it.
Cool.
All right. Well, you have a
what's your
great
name?
time. I'm Blake.
Thanks, Blake.
You got it.
Appreciate your compassion.
You got it. So yeah, just hang out here however long you want. And you're good to go.
Awesome.
And then take care of registration, obviously, because if a vehicle,
I can do that online.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Okay, perfect.
'cause
Hi, honey.
if like a county stops you, they're not going to be as nice as me. They're kind of dicks. So.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, you got it. Have a great rest of your day.
Following this interaction, Chelsea left for places unknown within the Kaibab National Forest. Janet Grimm contacted the Phoenix Police Department on October 4th to officially report Chelsea as missing. At this point, her family had no idea that Chelsea encountered the Williams police days prior, nor did they know that Chelsea was heading into the Kaibab National Forest. The Kaibab consists of 3 territories. The one we are most concerned with is the southernmost section. This region has quite a few low hills and also a lot of trees and brush. It's a popular hunting location, but there's also a lot of ranching and woodcutting activities taking place here. There are plenty of animals in the forest, including mountain lions and rattlesnakes. For the most part, the only way to get around is via a network of dirt and gravel forest roads. On October 5th, 2023, at approximately 8 p.m., a woman named Tasha called authorities to report that she came across a vehicle on Forest Road 6 earlier in the day, while saying that she also observed the same vehicle in the same location 2 days prior on October 3rd. The call was then passed along to a Deputy Cortez so that he could follow up with her. When Deputy Cortez got a hold of the reporting party, she told him that she was out scouting for elk with her son the week prior on Friday, September 29th, and that during that time she did not encounter the lone vehicle on Forest Road 6. It wasn't until she returned to the area on October 3rd that she observed a car sitting in the middle of the road. At the time, she chose not to report it because she assumed it was someone who would be coming back for it later. Now bringing us up to date on October 5th, Tasha said that she returned once again to the region earlier in the day and to continue scouting for elk, and she saw that the car had still not been moved. Since it had sat there for multiple days in a row, she decided it was best to report the vehicle to authorities. Tasha said that she and her husband investigated the car a bit and observed some packed bags, luggage, and a purse in the front passenger seat. She did not have the exact coordinates of the vehicle to relay to the deputy, so instead she gave him directions, saying that it was best to take County Road 124 to Forest Road 6, and that the vehicle was a white Ford SUV bearing California plates. Deputy Cortez told her that he would go and check it out, and he would call back if he had any further questions. After getting off the phone with the initial reporting party, Deputy Cortez ran a check on the license plate number he had received. It returned to a 2019 Ford registered to Chelsea Grimm out of San Diego, California. The deputy asked his dispatch if they had enough information to run Chelsea's name through their records system. Dispatch gave it a try and found out that Chelsea Grimm was entered into the National Crime Information Center, or NCIC, as a missing person as of October 4th, 2023, just a day prior. The authority responsible for its creation was the Phoenix Police Department. At around 8:30 p.m., Deputy Cortez made it to Forest Road 6 and discovered Chelsea Grimm's Ford EcoSport. The deputy did not observe any tracks leading away from the car or any indications of where the driver might have gone. He made an attempt to open the car doors, but they were locked. Looking in through the windows, he saw that there were multiple packed bags and luggage in the back seat and trunk. He saw a burgundy-colored purse in the front passenger seat as well as 2 jackets, a leather jacket folded on the seat, and a fabric sweater on the floorboard. In the vehicle's cup holder, he saw a water pipe or bong for smoking marijuana. Walking around the car, he noticed that both of the right side tires were completely blown out, with multiple minor scratches on the vehicle's body. There were tree branches embedded in the hood and front bumper as well. Deputy Cortez canvassed the surrounding region with his flashlight, but did not find or observe signs of anyone in the area. Afterwards, the deputy returned to his vehicle and notified his sergeant of his findings. Deputy Cortez then contacted Flagstaff Medical Center and Yavapai Regional Medical Centers to see if Chelsea Grimm had been admitted to any nearby hospitals. Neither hospital had a patient under Chelsea's name or matching her description. Deputy Cortez left the scene around 12:36 a.m. As the sun started to rise on October 6th, the Coconino County Sheriff's Office knew that Chelsea Grimm was missing and that they had found her car abandoned along Forest Road 6. A Sergeant Mitkowski was informed of the case overnight, and by 7:30 a.m. he had responded to the location of Chelsea's vehicle. Once on scene, the sergeant began taking photographs of the car and its surroundings. The sergeant noted significant damage to the passenger side of the vehicle, specifically the 2 blown-out tires and other body damage consistent with the car making contact with trees. It's clear from the photographs that after the tires were already flat, Chelsea still continued to drive on them for quite some time. There was also some notable damage to the front right bumper that's been partially separated from the body. While waiting for a search and rescue team to come to the area, the sergeant called for a tow truck to get the vehicle and remove it. The tow arrived around 9:22 a.m. and was able to open the locked doors. Prior to the vehicle search, SAR volunteers arrived in the area and collected a scent article from Chelsea's things for the canine searchers. Following that, the vehicle inventory began. Inside there were numerous bags of clothing and personal items, things like a purse, a laptop, an iPhone, a camera, a small backpack, journals, and a small case containing numerous receipts. All the listed items were seized to aid in the investigation. Additional items included the keys to the car, Chelsea's ID, and a tent. No debit or credit cards were found on location. Everything else was secured inside the vehicle and it was towed away. Photographs of the contents of the vehicle were not provided. After the tow, authorities planned to call all the hotels in Williams and Ash Fork to see if Chelsea had recently checked in anywhere. As the sheriff's SAR units began searching the area, they set up a command post near the location of Chelsea's vehicle. Deputies quickly encountered a man named Benny who managed the nearby Aja Ranch. He was unaware of when the vehicle initially arrived at its location. He said that he would pass along missing persons flyers to the hunters staying at his ranch and also check the buildings on his property. Meanwhile, searchers fanned out from the location of the Ford EcoSport, searching for any clues on the ground. A helicopter arrived in the afternoon to search from the air, but they were only able to see hunters in the region doing their thing. The canine handler using a scent article from Chelsea's vehicle was unable to determine a direction of travel. At around 8:30 p.m., dispatch received a call from a man named Jay, who reported that he found women's clothing hanging on a tree within the search perimeter. A deputy made contact with Jay 40 minutes later and learned that he was still in the area near Forest Road 6 as he was assisting with a youth hunt. He gave the deputy coordinates to the clothing's location. Jay said that he was scouting the area for elk when he discovered it hanging in a tree near an unnamed road or drainage east of Forest Road 6. He He felt that their clothing was strangely out of place, and also noticed tire tracks from a passenger vehicle in the same location. Not even 10 minutes later, the same deputy would hear from dispatch of another caller with new information. The deputy made contact with a woman named Laura, who said she was in the area doing some wood cutting near Paradise Tanks towards the end of September. She said that she had traveled from Williams on Forest Road 124 and 6, and when she initially arrived, she did not see Chelsea's vehicle blocking the road. Laura said that when she was leaving the area on October 1st, it was around 2 p.m. and she spotted Chelsea's Ford EcoSport sitting on the road unoccupied with 2 flat tires. Laura also said that she observed a camp with a peach or girly-colored tent approximately 2 miles south on Forest Road 6. Laura said that she called out to whoever was in the tent but got no response. She did see someone moving around inside, however. Laura felt it was strange that the camp and tent would not have a vehicle nearby, and also that there was a smoldering fire left unattended. Laura said that she returned to the area with her husband on October 4th and departing on the 5th, and during that time they both saw the unoccupied Ford EcoSport, but the campsite on the road to Paradise Tanks was no longer there. This same day, the authorities noticed that Chelsea's name was run through the NCIC by Williams Police Department on September 28th. They contacted Williams PD to find out why, and discovered that one of their officers made contact with Chelsea that night. This was the same interaction shown earlier in the video. A sergeant with the Sheriff's Department also reached out to Janet Grimm, who had filed the missing persons report with Phoenix PD. Janet was able to provide a lot of background information on her daughter, much of it we have already covered. Janet said that the last time she spoke with Chelsea was September 27th, when she received a phone call from her while she was in the Phoenix area. Chelsea asked her mother if she'd be willing to pay for her to go to Canyon Ranch Resort and Spa in Tucson, a retreat which focuses on mental health and wellness. Janet told Chelsea that she wouldn't pay for the retreat, and asked that she continue her drive to Connecticut instead. Janet felt that Chelsea needed a different type of mental health program. At this point, Chelsea became angry and began to block the phone numbers and social media accounts of all her friends and family for at least 24 hours. Chelsea said that she was doing this so that she wouldn't say anything out of anger that she would later regret. Janet stated that Chelsea had done things like this in the past, but that she usually unblocks everyone after a day or two. Janet also said that she typically communicated with Chelsea every day, and she had never gone this long without contacting friends and family. She said that Chelsea had recently broken up with a boyfriend of 5.5 years, and that the relationship was toxic. Shortly after the breakup in March of 2023, Chelsea began dating a man named PJ. Janet said that Chelsea had recently kicked PJ out of her home due to alcohol and drug use. This occurred a week or two before she left San Diego. Janet said that Chelsea did not currently have a job, but it wasn't for a lack of trying. According to her mother, Chelsea had relatively little outdoor experience, except for a wilderness skills program she took in high school. Her mother believed that Chelsea had not used the knowledge she had learned in a very long time. She said that Chelsea had been diagnosed with PTSD and anxiety, and she did take some medication for anxiety. Chelsea also had been clean from drugs for years, though her drug of choice wasn't disclosed. Chelsea had been attending virtual AA meetings for quite some time. Janet said that Chelsea would be skittish around police and that she had been a wild teen with some bad encounters with law enforcement. Janet did not believe that Chelsea would harm herself, and she didn't have a history of such a thing. She said that Chelsea was not traveling with anyone except her bearded dragon named Rosie. That was the extent of information provided by Chelsea's mother. Janet had no idea why her daughter's vehicle would be found on a lonely forest road in the Kaibab. She felt that if Chelsea was stuck, she would try to figure things out on her own and perhaps try and walk to a gas station. Janet also mentioned that Chelsea knew she had AAA and could call them if she needed roadside assistance. On October 7th, Deputy Clifton arrived in the search area around 7:42 a.m. along with numerous CCSO SAR personnel. In total, there were 5 ground teams and a canine team that would begin the ground search for the day. Deputy Clifton traveled out to the coordinates of the women's clothing that Jay had given him the day prior. Around 10 a.m., he found the unnamed road or drainage that led up towards the coordinates and began searching. He first found a shirt tag on the ground in the roadway, then found the clothing that matched Jay's description hanging on a tree at the coordinates provided. The deputy also saw a lot of foot tracks and a set of tire tracks consistent with a Ford EcoSport. He felt that both the width and tread were consistent with Chelsea's vehicle. Deputy Clifton made contact with Jay at his UTV a little later.
I got no idea what the girl's doing out here.
I think we're all trying to figure that out.
And the car, I thought I've seen him picking it up. Wasn't really all that far, but while the car was still running, she could have been doing anything. This is definitely a little narrow car. It's not an SUV or anything like that, or it's not a side-by-side.
She had an Escape, which was like a cute ute, but the tire, it's hard to tell because it was shredded. But it looked like on the side that wasn't damaged, there was it was a car
yeah,
tire.
You could tear the shit up bringing it back here.
So that's what I was trying to watch for, coming in and out. I'll pay a little more attention going out. I took a slow walk back after I located so your coordinates were spot on, so thank you for that. You know, that's your print, but I don't see this. This is not on your boot.
There's another guy that was with me.
And you think that might be
Yeah,
his?
both of us walked down here.
Okay.
He took the picture on his deal because we looked and I thought, that's fucking creepy, man. You know, there's some clothes hanging on that shit, and that's a woman small.
And she's 5'9", 120, so.
It ain't been that long since they pulled this little car in here because tire tracks are. I don't know when the last rain was, but.
Yeah, but I mean, you're right. I was like, that's probably about the size of tire that's on that car.
Exactly. That's what my thought was. Like, hey, she drove by here, but why you leave your clothes unless you're under duress, or you guys are doing the investigation? I don't know. Or you see a lot of weird shit with the druggy crap.
Unfortunately, what we put on that missing person flyer, we don't really know much more than that, you know. And what strikes me, what really amazes me is we did figure out, based on other people like woodcutters coming in and out when the car got there, it's amazing how long it went before it got reported to us. And then when a deputy came out, that's when he discovered this person's missing, was reported missing.
Right.
This
so
week.
You don't even know if she brought the car here or anything. You weren't able to access any of her cell phone records. Or
it was not there for us to do anything with. You know, it's but it's just, this is just weird. And what I'm trying to do is on my way back, try to pay really close attention if I can find some white body parts from a car, because she had some front end damage on it. To see if she's.
Well, she's out driving around and shit like this. Yeah, it would be pretty easy to
you're right. And the thing was, I saw some juniper pine leaves in it, and there are some here. There's one right there.
Yeah. Chelsea drove, whatever came in, they drove all the way down to there. You already noticed that, but I told my buddy the tracks are fresh and the clothes don't have cobwebs. They don't have to hang out here a couple weeks. They'll start collecting dust and stuff. I said, this is strange. It just struck me as weird, and with the girl missing, obviously.
On the way back to his vehicle, Deputy Clifton searched for pieces of a damaged car, anything that might have fallen off of Chelsea's vehicle if she was driving it through this rough stretch of road. Unfortunately, he didn't locate anything, nor did he find any pieces of tire tread or any other potential clues. A few days into the search, on October 8th, a woman named Danielle and her husband recognized Chelsea from the sheriff's media releases. They called authorities to report that they had made contact with Chelsea on the night of September 28th. Their residence was located on Country Club Road, right before the road turns into Forest Road 124 and continues west. The couple said that on September 28th at around 8:30 p.m., Chelsea Grimm's white Ford EcoSport drove onto their property, off their driveway, and into a drainage area. They even captured some cell phone video of the incident. The two homeowners then ran outside to check on her and make sure everything was all right. When they got close to Chelsea's vehicle, they could smell an odor of marijuana emanating from it. They said that Chelsea did not appear to be under the influence and was very apologetic for driving onto their property in the first place. Chelsea told them that she was trying to get to Humphreys, though it was unclear if she meant Humphreys Peak or Humphreys Street in Flagstaff. The husband, Andy, was then able to guide and direct Chelsea out of the ditch and give her directions back into Williams and Flagstaff. They then watched as Chelsea drove to the end of their driveway, sat there for a few minutes, and then turned west onto Forest Road 124. This was the exact opposite direction that the couple told her to go. The couple stated that Chelsea's vehicle had no visible damage at that time. On October 8th, authorities went over some of the items found in Chelsea's vehicle. They first did a search of her digital camera to see if there was anything relevant there. Some of the photos were from several years ago, but more recent date stamps began on September 28th, and appeared to be taken while Chelsea was traveling with her bearded dragon, Rosie. The photographs were consistent with the general area of Williams and the surrounding forest roads in the Kaibab National Forest. Two of the photos were from September 30th and appeared to be the truck of two woodcutters who reportedly made contact with her on that day. We will get to that story a little bit later. The last photograph was taken on September 30th and appeared to be the view from the front of her vehicle as it sat on Forest Road 6 in the location where it was found abandoned. There was also a to-do list that was found in Chelsea's vehicle. There were 9 items on it. 1. Coffee/cig. 2. Pack. 3. Meditate, crossed out, / read Bible. 4. Pack car. 5. Pay bill for motel. 6. Makeup and hair. 7. Start a plan, crossed out. 8. Baptism, renew self in the Lord. 9. Start a plan or paper. Next, authorities looked at a receipt that was found in the car, which was from the Clover Hill Shell in Williams. The receipt was dated September 28th at 4:08 p.m. Unfortunately, employees at the Shell said that they only retained video footage for 72-hour periods. They did recall that while Chelsea was there, she was trying to do a currency exchange for some euros that she had left over from a recent trip to Europe. The next day, on October 9th, authorities received a call from a friend of Chelsea's named Jason. He wanted to report a text message and phone call that he had received from Chelsea on September 25th. Later, a deputy was able to contact Jason in order to learn the significance of these communications. Jason said that the initial text from Chelsea simply said that she missed Jason and wished to speak with him. She said that she had been suffering from a migraine and that the sun was shining in her mirrors while she was driving. Jason said that he later spoke with Chelsea on the phone that same day. She told him that she was abandoning her plans to travel to Connecticut and she was instead going to embark on a retreat of some sort. Jason understood this to mean that Chelsea was planning on going into the woods on a personal retreat rather than attending some established or commercial wellness retreat. Jason believed that Chelsea would be traveling to a state where she had already been or was already familiar with in order to engage in this retreat. Jason also emailed the deputy a screenshot from the Instagram video that Chelsea posted on September 25th, the same day she talked to him. In the post, Chelsea states that she is traveling to Arizona to meet her girlie. Authorities were then able to make contact with this Phoenix area friend who was a woman named Jeanne. She told detectives that Chelsea had come to her home on September 25th and that they both hung out for a while and talked about random things. During the visit, Chelsea was alone and only had her bearded dragon with her. Chelsea told her friend that she was trying to go to a recovery program and was planning to travel around a bit before returning home. The two made plans to meet for brunch the next day on September 26th, but prior to the meeting, Chelsea contacted Jeanne and sounded paranoid. She said she was escaping a domestic dispute, and her ex-boyfriend could track her using her phone GPS. She said that her bearded dragon, Rosie, was actually her ex-boyfriend reincarnated and was talking to her. At the time, Jeanne interpreted this as Chelsea processing trauma in a strange way, but looking back on it, she felt that Chelsea must have been in a manic state. Later, authorities made contact with the owner of the Aztec Motel in Seligman, Arizona. The owner advised that Chelsea had come into her hotel on September 28th looking to rent a room. She said it was a strange and notable event because Chelsea wanted to use euros as payment. The hotel proprietor described Chelsea as out of it, and that Chelsea said she was having anxiety issues. In the video, Chelsea mentions that she is trying to stay off the grid. On this day, another possible sighting was reported to authorities. A woman claimed she may have seen Chelsea in the Coconino National Forest on Forest Road 226. She said that she saw an SUV of some kind, possibly a light gray or green Subaru, driving around at 1:30 p.m. She described the driver as a female wearing a mask with nothing else in the vehicle. She did not make contact with the individual. Immediately, detectives realized that much of this information contradicted the timeline they had been building in their investigation. On October 11th, authorities made contact with Chelsea's ex-boyfriend, PJ. He told them that Chelsea was actually his fiancée. He said that he found out about her going missing the night prior, and nobody had told him anything about what was happening. PJ said that he had last talked to Chelsea when she was at a hotel on the day she left for a road trip. Judging by the conversation that PJ had with detectives, he wanted to call and correct details he must have heard on the news as it related to sightings of Chelsea, and also her missing persons poster. He told the detective that he thought it was strange that she wasn't wearing makeup or eyeliner that she always wears, though it's not specified what sighting he's referring to. He stated that the person who thought they saw Chelsea wearing a face mask was wrong because she never wears a face mask. He also wanted to correct the weight on her missing persons poster, saying that Chelsea was actually 110 pounds. PJ explained that Chelsea had been sober for the past 200 days or more. According to PJ, Chelsea and himself had been living together for the past 6.5 months. He said that Chelsea left for Connecticut on October 4th, and he was not present the day she left because he was stuck in Ocean Beach, California. So the last time he actually saw Chelsea was October 2nd. He said that Chelsea and himself had a minor argument because of issues that they were having with a neighbor, and that Chelsea was scared of the neighbor because he terrorized her. PJ said that he never left the state of California during the time frame that Chelsea went missing, and that lately he had been homeless without a cell phone. Now, you might have noticed that the dates PJ gave make no sense given the known timeline, and detectives quickly realized that as well. The detective noted in his report that PJ's statements regarding where Chelsea was and when were not consistent with other information they had gathered in the case. PJ had claimed that he couldn't give correct dates to certain events because his phone was broken, and the information would have been within. The detective told him that it would be a good idea to turn the broken phone into the San Diego Police Department. On October 12th, the search continued with new tasks and points of interest. The area around Mesa Tank was searched, probably because of its proximity to the clothing that was found hanging from the tree. While the teams were out completing their assignments, another solo searcher was scouting along Paradise Ridge when he heard a growl and a hissing sound while hiking down a drainage. The coordinates he gives puts the encounter right near Paradise Tanks. He said he observed a mountain lion about 40 feet from him, and that it did not run away. The searcher retreated from the drainage and left towards the east. A team later came back to scare the mountain lion away and to see if it had any purpose for being in the area. When the team returned to the spot, the mountain lion was still there. After it left, no clues were discovered in the vicinity. Later, a canine team trained to find human remains was used in the area, but with negative results. Authorities received a phone call from a woman named Brittany who stated that she believed she had encountered Chelsea at a restaurant a few days earlier on October 6th. Brittany and her wife are the owners of Dos Pink Tacos in downtown Phoenix, Arizona. And yes, that is apparently a real place. Brittany said that on October 6th, the street was closed down for a community event called First Friday. At around 6 p.m. the same night, 2 females came in to eat and stayed until around 7:15. Brittany said one of the females had a bearded dragon and appeared to be Chelsea Grimm. They spoke about the bearded dragon a bit, and Brittany learned that the animal's name was Rosie. Brittany said that the woman appeared healthy and like any other average person. The only thing they really spoke about were animals. The deputy asked for a description of the other female, and Brittany said she appeared to be very shy and she did not speak and mostly kept to herself. Unfortunately, Brittany's establishment has no cameras, and she didn't see or know where the 2 women were going once they left. When the deputy asked her why she believed this individual was Chelsea, Brittany said that she saw the news stories of Chelsea's disappearance on TV, so she had seen her face, and it was uncommon to see someone carrying around a bearded dragon. So after some thought, she decided to call it in because she believed she may have interacted with Chelsea Grimm. Later on, authorities made contact with a witness named William along Forest Road 6. William said that he spoke with Chelsea Grimm on September 30th at the same location where her vehicle would later be found. He said that at the time he was driving by with his friend David in the car as they were going to do some wood cutting. As they drove down Forest Road 6, they saw Chelsea's Ford parked in the middle of the road around noon. They didn't notice anyone in or around the vehicle at that point. When they were driving back through the area around 5:30 p.m., the car was still there, but Chelsea was sitting in the driver's seat. William said that he pulled up and spoke to her through his window. He asked if she needed any help, and she told him that she didn't, and she was just in the area taking photographs. She then made a remark about the sunset. William said that Chelsea seemed coherent, but he did describe her as California weird. Otherwise, nothing else seemed unusual. He said that the conversation was friendly and she did not appear to be distraught in any way. Authorities also contacted William's friend David to confirm this story, which he did. David added that Chelsea had a camera in her hands while they were talking, and she told them that everything is good when asked if she was okay. He said she seemed happy and nothing was out of the ordinary. As William and David drove away, Chelsea would snap a photograph of their truck in her side view mirror. It would be one of the last photographs she took. The next day, on October 13th, a detective contacted Brittany to get more details about her sighting at Dos Pink Tacos. He asked if the woman she had seen was wearing glasses, and Brittany said she was. He asked if she had noticed any tattoos on the woman. Brittany said that she couldn't remember seeing any. He asked if she could provide a copy of the receipt for the transaction that occurred that night, and Brittany said she could. After receiving an image of the receipt, the detective noted that it only contained the last 4 digits of the card that was used. He doesn't mention if it was a match or not, but perhaps he couldn't know at the time as Chelsea's debit and credit cards were not found amongst her things. No update is ever given on this later in the report. On October 14th, the sheriff's detectives continued to follow up on the sighting of Chelsea Grimm at Dos Pink Tacos. Looking at a map of the area, they noticed that there was a Circle K and a marijuana dispensary on the same street as the restaurant. The hope was that one of these other businesses might have video footage of Chelsea. A detective contacted the Phoenix Police Department for assistance, and a patrol officer was assigned to help. The Phoenix officer first went to the Circle K to review the security cameras for the day of October 6th. He was allowed to do so by the manager and watched all the video they had available. Unfortunately, he saw no signs of Chelsea in the footage. Next, he tried the dispensary but was unable to review their videos. He did show the employees Chelsea's missing persons flyer, but none of them said they had seen her. The Circle K footage for October 6 was locked and saved by the establishment for further investigation by the sheriff. On October 16th, a search team in the Kaibab encountered a woman named Robin who was driving a Jeep. She told the team that she had some sort of psychic dream on the night of October 15th about a woman in the area, and wondered if someone was missing. She gave some pretty non-specific information, like that she saw 3 6s and to get to the area you turn right and go over the tracks. She said that the woman she saw had found a hill with a weird flat rock on top, and that the woman was sad and marking the area with totems. In the vision, Robin said that she saw a woman with a blanket or tarp with some rope. Robin did not have a specific location for the team, but was out in the area trying to listen for the woman to contact her again. They told her to contact the sheriff's office should she develop any more specifics.
But it sounds like she was very sad, and yeah, she did mark a couple totems. It sounded like she was out here, she was thinking she was going to get somewhere, and then she was going to keep going. And I don't know if she had like a tarp or a blanket, a small blanket or a tarp, but something says she had something like she was like this with a tarp or blanket.
What color was it?
I immediately thought blue or silver, but then I was like, I don't know. If I think too hard, it goes away. So I went down a couple of these wood cutting roads, and I found a couple totems built, and I found a couple turnaround spots, but I didn't see anything. And what she's telling me is that she found a hill, and there's some flat rock. It was like, she said, because it's crazy because she's like, no, you'll take a right, then you'll go over the tracks. And I'm like, past the tracks, and I'm like, I'm not gonna go over the tracks and break the law. And then I'm like, oh, holy shit! Like, and then I can't. I'm like, okay, how did I get here? So she was saying it's a hillside because she tried to see a view, and I'm thinking she was trying to head for that because she was saying northeast. So I was like, well, maybe she saw the wind turbines. It was at night or something, and she was trying to find a flat spot on a hill, and there was flat rocks. So I don't know. I mean, I hike out here a lot, so that's why I'm out here. I'm like, okay, I know these roads enough. But if you guys are still looking for her, then keep listening. Hopefully she turns up.
On October 17th, the Sheriff's Department used aerial drones to perform grid flights over the search area in order to take a lot of high-definition photographs. Overall, 1,800 photos were taken that day, and later pixel detection software was used in an attempt to identify locations or objects with colors that are unnatural for the area. The software detected some potential targets which were all reviewed by sheriff's personnel, but none were determined to have any clues that warranted any further investigation. Authorities also contacted a man named David who reported that he was hunting in the area where Chelsea went missing. He said that during the time of September 25th through the 29th, both he and his wife were in the region together. He said that on the 29th he was driving down Forest Road 124 at approximately 6:11 a.m. when he passed a small white Ford SUV that he believed to be Chelsea's. He stated that he saw a Hindu male sitting in the driver's seat of the car, and the man appeared to be on a cell phone. He then observed a white female matching Chelsea's description walking toward an elk that was just south of the vehicle. He said that the car appeared to be in good working order at the time, and he thought they were possibly hunters. Later that same day at around 8:30 a.m., both he and his wife were driving back down Forest Road 124 when they saw the white Ford SUV again in the same location. But this time, both doors were open. He couldn't recall for sure, but he thought that the rear hatch door was also open. At the time, he felt that nothing about the situation seemed strange, so he just continued driving. Later on, detectives contacted another witness by the name of Jonathan, who also reported hunting in the area and camping off of Forest Road 6A. He said that on September 30th at around 11 a.m. he was driving on Forest Road 6 along with a friend of his and heading northbound to their camp on 6A when he noticed Chelsea's vehicle in the middle of the road. He moved his car around to the left and stopped. He then saw Chelsea open the driver's side door and apologize for blocking the road. Jonathan asked Chelsea if she needed any help, and she told him that she had 2 flat tires and no gas. He asked how he could assist her, and she said that she had already called someone and they were coming to switch out her vehicle and she didn't need any assistance. Jonathan described Chelsea as out of it during their entire encounter. Chelsea was described as wearing jean shorts and a crop top. After the encounter, Jonathan and his friend continued on up the road for about 10 minutes before stopping. A bad feeling came over him and he didn't feel good about leaving a lone female stranded on a lonely forest road. He pulled a U-turn, spinning his car around, and started heading back towards Chelsea's location. Once he got there, he found that the car was in the same location, except it was locked and Chelsea was gone. They looked, but they couldn't see her anywhere in the roadway or in the surrounding region. They then looked in the car and saw that she had left some things like the bong and her purse, but they figured there was nothing more they could do. They got back in their vehicle and began heading to their camp where they spent the night. Jonathan told investigators that on the night of the 30th there was quite a storm, with rain and lightning all night long. On October 1st, he found himself driving down Forest Road 6 again, and he came across Chelsea's vehicle in the same spot. He again exited his car and checked the doors on the Ford EcoSport. They were still locked, and he said that the bong had been moved and the purse had been taken. This was his last interaction with the vehicle. He never saw another person with Chelsea and felt that she was not in distress when he spoke to her. On October 18th, an investigator visited Murphy's tow yard and requested to see Chelsea's vehicle. He took swabs of different areas of the car for testing and also took photographs. In this set of photos, we get another view of the vehicle, though some of them are so washed out it makes the damage unidentifiable. Despite this, you can still make out some of the damage to the front end. On October 26th, authorities followed up with another potential witness named Shale, who had reached out to Chelsea's family through Facebook. I believe this testimony to be invalid, but in an effort to be thorough, I'll share it anyway. Shale wanted to report a suspicious encounter she had on September 28th. She said that on September 26th, she was camping out of her van on Forest Road 160. She did this for 2 nights in a row without incident. However, on the night of the 28th, she heard a woman scream for help. The woman didn't sound injured and was just pleading for help. Shale had bad hearing, so she couldn't figure out what direction the calls were coming from, or if the woman was even close. She didn't feel like she was in a position to be helping anyone and thought someone else nearby might come to the woman's aid. The next day on the 29th, Shale saw an older truck parked across from her van. She had poor eyesight, so she couldn't make out a description of the person in the truck except that it was a man on a cell phone. The man never approached her, but she could see him staring at her. At the time, Shale called her sister because she was getting nervous. Meanwhile, a dark SUV pulled up and parked right next to her. Shale was getting nervous, so she left the area and noticed that the older truck started following her. She got onto a nearby highway and drove to a McDonald's where she saw a white car with a man videotaping her. She again felt unsafe, so she drove to a gas station in Mayer, Arizona, where once again, someone in a black and red truck was already there, watching her. Obviously, this whole story has significant indications of mental illness and paranoia, so it's hard to know what's true. The location where Shale was camped, Forest Road 160, was far outside the search radius as well. On November 1st, authorities with the assistance of San Diego PD gained entry into Chelsea's residence. While there, an investigator went to go speak with her neighbor, Ryan. Ryan said that he last saw Chelsea on September 24th, but that she could have been around later than that. He said that he mostly kept to himself due to issues he had with Chelsea in the past. Ryan knew that Chelsea was going to a wedding because he overheard one of her phone calls. When asked about this, Ryan explained that due to the close proximity of their respective homes, he could often hear a lot of things that went on inside Chelsea's residence. He said that Chelsea once tried to get a restraining order on him because she felt like he was looking in on her. Ryan said that he tried to tell Chelsea that her boyfriend was no good and would bring her down. The deputy asked Ryan if Chelsea appeared mentally ill or in a state where she might harm herself, but Ryan said that he would rather not comment. When asked if he had observed illicit drugs being used or sold from Chelsea's home, Ryan said that for his safety, he would not answer the question. The authorities were allowed entry into Chelsea's home because her landlord was there to help facilitate the search. The landlord had not heard from Chelsea since September 26th, when she received a text saying that the rent was going to be a little late, and that she was not going to be home in time to give it to her in person. The landlord was aware that Chelsea's boyfriend had been living with her for a while, but also said that he was recently removed from the residence due to not being on the lease. As authorities looked around Chelsea's home, they took photographs of all the rooms, some prescriptions in her bedroom, and some pages in her notebook that was left in the kitchen. Overall, there was nothing in the residence that indicated any unusual behavior or events. On December 6th, a couple months into the investigation, authorities were contacted by a regional supervisor for the Arizona Fish and Game Department. Her name was Karen. Karen stated that she had made contact with Chelsea Grimm on September 30th, just off from Forest Road 6. She even gave coordinates for the encounter. Karen estimated that it was midday, so roughly noon, and Chelsea was alone, though she had some of her belongings on the ground behind her car. When Chelsea saw the fish and game vehicle approaching, she began to quickly load her stuff back into her EcoSport. Karen engaged her in conversation and learned that Chelsea was out of gas and planning to walk back towards town. When Chelsea said this, she pointed north. Karen told Chelsea that to head north would only take her deeper into the Kaibab, and that she would be better off walking south back the way she came. Chelsea asked her if she could drive out that way because she still had some gas in her vehicle. Karen said that she could drive so long as she followed the roadway back to town. Karen said that Chelsea denied needing water or snacks or even a cell phone. Chelsea did ask her for the number to Lamb Nissan because she was interested in their Cash for Clunkers program. Karen provided the number to her, but also said that Lamb Nissan would not drive from Prescott, Arizona to tow her vehicle for her. Karen said that overall Chelsea seemed to be happy and healthy, and their communication ended at this point. The reason it took so long for Karen to come forward with this information is because she didn't realize that the young woman she encountered wound up going missing. A hunter eventually told her about the case, and she promptly contacted authorities. Throughout the investigation, authorities were being inundated with potential sightings that needed to be looked into. Obviously, we already went over a lot of them, but there were plenty more that we didn't. There was a sighting at Dunkin' Donuts in Mesa, Arizona on October 7th. Another was at a Circle K in Prescott, Arizona on October 10th. Then another one at the Arabella Hotel in Sedona. Another sighting was at a gun show in Las Vegas, Nevada on October 7th. Yet another one was at a pet store in Mesa, Arizona. Most, if not all, of these sightings were looked into and ruled out during the investigation. There were numerous other additional tips and leads reported, but due to limited information or even the unlikely nature of the claims, some of which included people reporting that Chelsea was abducted by aliens or that she was seen in psychic visions, most of these minor tips were not followed up on. Some of the sightings or tips I've talked about probably have you saying to yourself, why did he even bother to put that in the video? Well, usually I don't. This time I did because it's important to comprehend the level of information the police receive when there is a missing person case that makes national news. They are flooded with tips and sightings and have to work fast to sort it all out. They have to discern what could be relevant or irrelevant or what could just be the ramblings of a crazy person. It complicates things, but it happens to some level in pretty much every missing persons case that goes public. In the end, the ground search failed and the investigation turned up no information that led to Chelsea. She is still missing to this day, and her case remains open with Coconino County. So what is going on in this situation? I've heard all kinds of theories ranging from her ex-boyfriend did it, to she was abducted, to she joined a cult. I get why people have come up with those theories. They usually come back to some true aspect of Chelsea's life or personality. There's a lot of people who have some bad things to say about her ex-boyfriend PJ. Maybe they're all true as well, I don't know. But he was cleared from wrongdoing because authorities could not place him in Arizona at all during the time that Chelsea disappeared. He had an alibi. He might be unreliable and untrustworthy when it comes to getting information out of him, but that's really all we got. I'm sure some people also had similar feelings about Chelsea's rather strange neighbor, Ryan. By the sound of it, Chelsea felt this guy was kind of watching her in a creepy way, and she went as far as trying to get a restraining order. He might have said some weird or cryptic things, but there is no evidence to link him to this disappearance. When it comes to other theories, they have a similar problem. There's just no real hard evidence to support them. The thing is, there is one overarching theme to this case that cannot be ignored. I believe it's the first and most primary element as to why Chelsea is missing to this day, and that is mental illness. Now, that doesn't mean that's the only thing going on here. I'm just saying I think this was the catalyst. Just so you can really understand what I mean, let's go over a brief synopsis of everything we learned about the timeline leading up to her disappearance. September 24th, Chelsea begins her road trip. September 25th, Chelsea calls her friend Jason. Among other things, she told him she was having a migraine. Chelsea meets with her friend in Phoenix. Things seem normal and they plan to meet up again the next day. September 26th, Chelsea cancels plans with her friend as well as her plan to travel to Connecticut. While on the phone with her friend, she sounds paranoid and is saying that she is escaping a domestic dispute and that her ex-boyfriend could track her phone. She also says that her bearded dragon was her ex-boyfriend reincarnated and that the lizard was speaking to her. September 27th, Chelsea calls her mother asking for money to go to a wellness resort. After being denied funds, she blocks her family and friends, ending outside contact with people. September 28th, Chelsea tries to check into the Aztec Motel and also tries to pay with euros as she is staying off the grid. Chelsea encounters Williams PD and while parked at a graveyard is questioned from roughly 7:40 to 7:50 p.m. Less than an hour later, Chelsea drives onto the property of Danielle and her husband around 8:30 p.m. The couple give her directions to head back towards town, but instead, Chelsea goes in the opposite direction on Forest Road 124, which leads out into the Kaibab. September 29th, at 6:11 a.m., there is a possible sighting by a man named David on Forest Road 124. He says that the woman he saw appeared to be Chelsea, and that she was driving a white Ford SUV, but there was also a Hindu male sitting in the driver's seat on a cell phone. David sees the same vehicle again around 8:30 a.m. Most everything about this sighting fits with the timeline of events, except for the addition of the man seen in her vehicle. September 30th. A Fish and Game employee named Karen encounters Chelsea on Forest Road 6 at a location further south than where her car would eventually wind up. Chelsea tells Karen that she is stranded because she just ran out of gas. Karen gives her directions back to town and tells Chelsea that if she continues north, she will only go deeper into the Kaibab. Karen told authorities that this interaction happened around midday, but it must have been earlier in the morning as Karen never mentioned seeing flat tires. Karen was also interviewed far later than most everyone else, so her memory would understandably be more hazy about the time of day. At 11 a.m., Jonathan encounters Chelsea's disabled vehicle and notices 2 of her tires are completely blown. At this point, she's parked in the middle of the road on Forest Road 6. Jonathan described Chelsea as out of it, and she declined his help. Jonathan returned 10 minutes after leaving, but Chelsea had already wandered off somewhere. About an hour later, around 12 p.m., William and his friend encounter Chelsea's vehicle on Forest Road 6. Nobody is in the vehicle, and it seems abandoned. Around 5:30 p.m., William and his friend are driving back on Forest Road 6 when they run into Chelsea's vehicle again. It is in the same spot, but they notice that she is now sitting in the driver's seat. They describe her as California weird, but their interaction is otherwise normal. Chelsea takes a photo of their truck as they drive off. October 1st, time unknown. Jonathan encounters Chelsea's disabled vehicle again while driving back from camp. Chelsea is not around, but he notices that some of the items in her car have been removed. Around 2 p.m., Laura discovers Chelsea's disabled vehicle on the road. Later, Laura also sees a tent 2 miles south on Forest Road 6. She thinks it's strange and calls out to the occupant, but gets no answer. October 3rd, Tasha finds Chelsea's vehicle on the road but assumes the driver will probably return to get it. October 5th, Tasha sees Chelsea's vehicle again and reports it to authorities. October 6th, at 6 p.m., there was a possible sighting of Chelsea at Dos Pink Tacos in Phoenix, but it's a bit questionable. Authorities were never able to confirm the sighting despite multiple attempts at retrieving CCTV footage from the surrounding area. The one thing that makes this sighting seem quite legitimate is that the witness, Brittany, says that the woman who appeared to be Chelsea also had a bearded dragon by the name of Rosie. I mean, if true, that would be quite a coincidence. Did Brittany just see information on the news and convince herself that she encountered Chelsea? Who knows, but it's still worth mentioning. If this was Chelsea, then it would indicate she got out of the Kaibab and was running around with another girl who seemed quite shy and quiet. So based on this timeline, we can deduce that Chelsea abandoned her vehicle sometime between September 30th and October 1st. But I don't think there is anyone who can listen to that sequence of events and not come to the determination that mental illness is at play. Chelsea is making comments about her lizard being the reincarnation of her ex-boyfriend and that it's speaking to her about things. She's driving out in the middle of nowhere, and when people give her directions to safety, she does the opposite of what they tell her. There is clear evidence that she took her vehicle down rough roads or drainages that were not designed for her vehicle. The sharp, jagged rocks in this area and dense brush are what likely damaged her vehicle and popped her tires. I know some people have thought that the two flat tires must have meant some sort of deliberate foul play kind of thing, but that's highly unlikely. She was offered and denied rescue multiple times after the tires blew. The volcanic rocks in this region could easily have torn up those tires. I mean, imagine what she must have driven through to scratch up her car, get brush and branches embedded in the front end, cause body damage, and blow both tires. And then, after all that, she is still acting pretty chill when she runs into people. And none of that stopped her from driving further north and deeper into the Kaibab. Most people are aware that once you blow a tire, you need to stop, because driving on a flat tire will only cause irreparable damage as the rim starts to chew into the rubber. But Chelsea just continued to drive. And once she became stranded, multiple people approached and asked to help her. She had multiple opportunities to take advantage of rescue, but she declined each time while continuing to outwardly appear calm and collected to witnesses. In my opinion, these are not the actions or behaviors of someone who is in their right mind. And I say this not to blame Chelsea or demean her in any way. She deserves to be searched for and she needs to be found regardless of anything. But if we're going to find her, we need to understand the circumstances. We need to understand what was happening. Once we do that, we can best judge how to deal with the situation. Mental illness has played a part in countless missing persons cases. It's a very common cause of people disappearing. Given that particular items were taken from her car, like her debit card, the lizard, some journals, etc., it would appear that Chelsea willingly grabbed some of her things and abandoned the vehicle. I know her parents have said things like she would never leave her camera, but I don't believe that's good enough reasoning to suggest that she was taken from her car by force or something. She was clearly in a state of mental crisis, so whatever you would normally think she would do doesn't really apply. I'll also add that Steve Fisher, who did some truly incredible work on this case, was able to look at her camera after it was released, and he determined that she only used the camera 3 times in the last 18 months leading up to her disappearance. So maybe she wasn't so attached to that camera after all. And I just want to add, if you're interested in missing persons cases, follow SF Investigates on X, as he does some really great work. He deals with a lot of cases as they're playing out in real time. So basically the opposite of me in a way. But I'd encourage people to check him out. Anyway, let's continue. So while Chelsea may have been having some kind of episode, it doesn't preclude the possibility that some other external factor was involved here. Some bad actor could have come along and done something to her while she was vulnerable. But I think it's highly unlikely. At least in this location deep in the Kaibab. These areas are remote, and the odds of running into a random murderer or kidnapper are fairly slim. You can see from the witness testimony that the demeanor of most of the locals in this area tends more towards compassion. She was offered help multiple times from multiple people. She wasn't ignored. Alternatively, I think it's unlikely that she was able to contact somebody via her cell phone to come and take her out of the Kaibab. Cell reception in the area is totally unreliable, and apparently her cell data ended once she entered the national forest. This is a good indicator that she didn't call any outside parties to come get her. So if Chelsea was on the move, and it appears as though she was, she could have wandered deep into the wilderness in a very vulnerable state and perished somewhere well outside the search perimeter. She had about a 5-day head start on any search efforts, which isn't good. She could have covered quite a bit of distance in that amount of time. But we have at least one more clue that might change things up a bit, and that would be Laura's sighting. She came upon Chelsea's vehicle on October 1st, a full 4 days before the sheriff would be called on scene, and right around the time that Chelsea would have been abandoning her car for good. When Laura found the vehicle, Chelsea was not there, but when she drove 2 miles south along Forest Road 6, she came across a tent off to the side of the road. The tent was out of place, there was a person inside of it, and there was a small smoldering fire outside. There was no vehicle in the area that would otherwise indicate how this person came to this location. Laura also described the tent as girly, which could help rule out the possibility that this was some male hunter traveling around on foot and camping by the roadside. Laura said that she called out to the person in the tent but got no response, and also that she knew someone was in there, they just didn't respond. When Laura was back in the area on October 4th and 5th, the camp was no longer there. So the question is, was this Chelsea? Well, you might say that the biggest issue with this idea is that a tent was found in Chelsea's vehicle when it was searched. So how could she be in a tent on the roadside if she left her tent in the car? I can't really say how common it is for people to bring 2 tents on a road trip. I've never done or seen any polling on this. I know I do it every time I'm on a road trip. Sometimes I even bring 3 because I'm a strange individual. You know, you have different tents for different situations, or maybe you just want a backup tent. But I always at least bring a larger tent and a smaller backpacking tent. Could Chelsea have done something similar? It's certainly not out of the question. For the sake of argument, let's say that this was Chelsea in the tent. Well, then she would presumably be heading south based on her location. She would finally be following the directions of the Fish and Game officer. If she was heading straight south, it would be more than 10 miles before she hit a highway. If she made it, it's possible she could have gotten picked up by someone. If things happen that way, then she could be anywhere. The alternative might be that she perished somewhere in the wilderness in this large tract of land between the tent location and the highway. Judging by the search map, these areas were not heavily looked at. I passed through Williams, Arizona last summer, and I stopped in this region to take a look around. I didn't do any searching or anything, I just wanted to get a feel for the Kaibab area. I figured there would be no real point in going out to where her car was found because that region was searched to death. If she's still in the general vicinity of the Kaibab, then she probably went further than most people predicted. It's certainly possible given the head start that she had. Despite this being a national forest, the land still has a desolate feel to it. It was hot, the brush and the trees were dry, and the rocks in some areas were rough and jagged. If you drove your car through this, I have no doubt that you could pop your tires. The roads in this area are mostly dirt with some that are gravel, and they can be quite rough in some areas. Chelsea's car was really not built for the terrain that resides in the Kaibab. I won't bore you with my on-site narrative because this video is already getting kind of long. One thing I will say is that I think this case is a great candidate for UAVs. They go up and they take a lot of high-definition photographs, and then those are analyzed for anomalies. Recently, I've seen this kind of thing have more and more success in missing persons cases. Now, they already did this in some areas of the Kaibab, but I think it would be worth trying in other places that extend beyond the scope of the original search. I could see something like an article of clothing or a shoe standing out quite well against the reddish-brown terrain here. But then again, I'm just some guy on the internet. What do I know? Obviously, we can only speculate as to what happened once Chelsea left her vehicle. There are no certainties. I think the odds are reasonably high that she is still out there somewhere, but there is certainly a chance that something else happened. There's a chance that it really was her who was seen in Phoenix the day after her vehicle was reported to authorities. There's a chance that she is still out there alive somewhere. but I think it's pretty slim. We are approaching 2 years since her disappearance, and so far there have been no new leads and no new and reliable sightings. So let me know what you think happened in the comments below, and until next time, thanks for watching.